The scream tore through the house like a gunshot, slicing through the calm of a sunny Saturday afternoon. It wasn't just a cry, it was raw, desperate, the kind that yanks you out of your skin and sets your heart racing. I dropped the book I'd been reading, my pulse hammering, and sprinted toward the front door. That was Sophie, my little sister, and she only screamed like that when something was horribly wrong. I nearly tripped over a stray shoe, my stomach twisting as I reached the porch. There, on our worn welcome mat, stood two women in crisp black polos, community standards stitched in bold white across their chests. One had Sophie's wrist in a VYSE-like grip. The other brandished a clipboard, her voice sharp and accusing. Sophie's eyes were wide with terror. Her breath, coming in shallow gasps, her epilepsy made stress a ticking time bomb, and these strangers were lighting the fuse. "Let her go," I shouted, my voice cracking with panic and rage. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" The woman holding Sophie, tall with a tight brunette bun and eyes like daggers, shot me a glare. "Official business," she snapped. "Your sister's obstructing an enforcement action. Back off, or you'll regret it." Sophie whimpered, tugging against the grip, her knees wobbling. My head spun. We'd lived in this sleepy neighborhood for 18 months, and I'd never seen HOA reps act like this aggressive, almost predatory. Something was off. The second woman, shorter with a muscular build and a smirk that made my skin crawl, pointed at the driveway. "You've got violations," she said, her tone dripping with contempt. "Medical equipment in plain VYEW, an unapproved ramp by the side door. It's an eyesore. We're issuing a citation, and if you resist, we'll seize everything." My jaw dropped. Sophie supplies her seizure meds, her emergency inhaler, the ramp for her wheelchair on rough days wearing clutter. They were her lifeline. "You're insane," I spat, stepping forward to shield Sophie. "Those are for her condition. You can't touch them." The brunette sneered, tightening her hold on Sophie. "Rules don't care about your problems. Want an exemption?" begged the board. Her clipboard was covered in forms, but I noticed the lack of an official HOA logono seal, no contact info, just generic letterhead that screamed fake. My gut churned. This wasn't about regulations. This was intimidation, maybe extortion. Sophie's breathing turned ragged. Her eyelids fluttering to seizure was imminent. I reached for her, desperate to pull her away, but the shorter woman blocked me. "Stay put," she growled. "We're not done." That's when Lucas appeared in the doorway, drawn by the commotion. My roommate of 6 months, Lucas was a pro kickboxer, lean and coiled, with a quiet intensity that could flip from laid-back to lethal in a heartbeat. His dark hair was damp from a gym session, his gray tank top clinging to his frame, but his eyes locked onto the scene with laser focus. Sophie trembling, me facing off against two strangers and a brewing storm of violence. "What's the problem?" he asked, his voice low but edged with steel. The brunette released Sophie's wrist, but only to shove her toward me, turning her glare on Lucas. "Your buddies are interfering with compliance," she said. "We've got reports of code violations, and we're authorized to act." Lucas eyed the clipboard, his jaw tightening. "Authorized by who?" "No badges, no official stamps. Looks like a con to me." The shorter woman slapped the clipboard, her smirk faltering. "We don't need your permission. Step aside, or we call backup." Sophie swayed, clutching my arm, her voice a whisper. "I can't. It's coming." Her hand twitched near her face, a sign she was seconds from a seizure. Lucas moved fast, easing her behind him, his stance daring the women to try something. "You're pushing her toward a seizure," he said, his voice deadly calm. "She's epileptic. Walk away now." The brunette laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Seizure? Save the drama. Sign this compliance form, or we start confiscating." She thrust the clipboard at me, but before I could react, Sophie's legs buckled. She collapsed, a soft moan escaping as her body began to twitch. Lucas caught her, cradling her gently, his eyes blazing. "Get her inside," he told me, his voice tight. "I've got this." I helped Lucas carry Sophie to the couch, her tremors worsening. My heart pounded as I knelt beside her, checking her pulse, whispering reassurances while trying to block out the chaos at the door. The shorter woman followed us inside, Yin Vy Ted, her boots thudding on the floor. "You don't get to walk away," she barked. "We need photos for the violation report. Non-compliance means fines, maybe worse." She pulled out her phone, aiming it at Sophie's trembling form like she was documenting Evy Denke. Fury surged through me, hot and blinding. "Get out!" I screamed, lunging to block her shot. Lucas was there instantly, placing himself between us and the intruder. "You heard her," he growled. "Leave, or I make you." The woman smirked, but before she could snap a photo, the brunette stormed in, clutching a heavy metal flashlight, the kind meant to double as a weapon. "Touch her, and I'll crack your skull," she hissed, raising it toward Lucas. Time froze. I saw the flashlight's glint, the reckless fury in the brunette's eyes, and Lucas's subtle shift of fighter's instinct taking over. Sophie let out a choked sob, her seizures intensifying, and I knew we were out of time. Lucas dodged as the brunette swung, the flashlight whistling past his head. In a flash, he countered with a precise right cross. The blow landed with a sickening crack, and the brunette crumpled, the flashlight clattering across the floor. The shorter woman shrieked, stumbling back. "You assaulted her. You're finished." Lucas stood over the fallen woman, chest heaving, his knuckles red. "She swung first," he said, his voice steady but laced with adrenaline. "Stay down." I rushed to Sophie, checking her breathing, my hands shaking. Her seizures were easing, but she was pale, tears streaking her face. The shorter woman knelt beside her partner, glaring at Lucas with venom. "You'll pay for this," she spat. "We've got people. You just attacked enforcement." "Enforcement?" Lucas scoffed, picking up the flashlight. "This isn't HOA equipment. You're frauds, and the cops will love this." The woman's eyes flickered with unease, but she grabbed her phone, muttering into it. "Get here now." "She's down. They attacked us." "Yes, the ones with the medical gear." "Hurry." My stomach dropped. They weren't just scammers, they were organized, targeting us deliberately. I glanced at Lucas, who nodded, his mind clearly racing. "Call 911, he said quietly. I fumbled for my phone, dialing with trembling fingers, my voice shaking as I explained. 2 women posing as HOA enforcers, one unconscious after attacking us, the other threatening more trouble, and my sister in medical distress. The dispatcher promised help was coming, but the wait felt like forever. Engines roared outside, and my heart sank. Through the window, I saw a black SUV screech to a halt, 3 figures in matching black polos spilling out, led by a stocky man with a buzz cut and a scowl that promised trouble. The shorter woman rushed to meet them, wah-vee-wahing her arms. "He attacked her," she yelled, pointing at Lucas. "She's out." The buzz-cut man knelt beside the brunette, checking her pulse, then fixed Lucas with a predatory stare. "You like hitting women, huh?" he growled. Lucas didn't flinch. "She came at me with this," he said, nodding at the flashlight on the side table. I defended myself. "You want to try me? Go ahead." The man's fists clenched, and his 2 companions flanked him, their eyes darting between Lucas and me. I stood behind Lucas, gripping a heavy vase, my palms sweaty. We were outnumbered, and the police were still minutes away. "No more talking," the buzz-cut man said, cracking his knuckles. He lunged, aiming a wild swing at Lucas's head. Lucas sidestepped, landing a quick kick to the man's ribs, but the others closed in, a chaotic blur of fists and shouts. I swung the vase at the nearest attacker, catching her shoulder. She yelped, staggering, and Lucas used the opening to deliver a sharp elbow, sending another man sprawling. The shorter woman grabbed the flashlight, but I knocked it from her hand, my VY sound blurring as someone shoved me into the wall. Pain flared in my head, but I stayed upright, fueled by desperation. Lucas fought with precision, weaving through wild punches, his strikes sharp and punishing. He took down another attacker with a hook to the jaw, but the buzz-cut man tackled him, crashing into a side table in a shower of splintered wood. I scrambled to my feet, grabbing a fallen lamp and swinging it at the man's back. He grunted, loosening his grip, and Lucas drove a knee in his gut, dropping him. The shorter woman, now back on her feet, screamed, "You're dead." Sirens wailed, cutting through the chaos. Red and blue lights flooded the room, and the remaining intruders froze. Police officers stormed in, guns drawn, shouting for everyone to get down. Lucas raised his hands, and I followed, my body trembling. The intruders, battered and defiant, started yelling about their authority, but the cops weren't buying it. One officer demanded IDs while another surveyed the wreckage. Broken furniture, blood on the rug, and Sophie's soft whimpers from the couch. I pointed to her, my voice breaking. "My sister's epileptic. They triggered a seizure. She needs help." A paramedic rushed to Sophie's side, checking her VY towels, while the lead officer grilled the intruders. Their IDs were flimsy, their story falling apart. A search of their SUV revealed fake badges, stolen plates, and a notebook listing addresses are circled, with notes about medical equipment. My blood ran cold. This was a targeted scam, preying on vulnerable families. Lucas gave a calm statement, explaining the brunette's attack, his self-defense. I backed him up, my voice shaking as I described Sophie's condition. The paramedics stabilized her, but she was exhausted, her eyes hollow. The police cuffed the conscious intruders, dragging them to squad cars, while the brunette was loaded onto a stretcher, still groaning. The shorter woman spat curses as she was led away, promising revenge. Lucas watched, his expression unreadable. As the police cleared out, neighbors gathered outside, whispering and recording. A few offered sympathy, but I was too numb to respond. Inside, the Lee Vying room was a disaster: shattered glass, overturned furniture, and the faint smell of blood. Sophie curled up on the couch, clutching a blanket. "Why us?" she whispered. I knelt beside her, brushing back her hair. "I don't know," I admitted. "But they're gone. We're safe." Lucas hovered nearby, his knuckles bruised, his jaw tight. "I'm sorry it got this bad," he said softly. Sophie looked at him, tears welling. "You saved me," she said. "Thank you." He nodded, but I saw the weight in his eyes. He'd used his fists outside the ring, and it wasn't sitting easy. Over the next few days, the neighborhood buzzed. Some had seen the SUV before. Others admitted paying fines to similar enforcers out of fear. The real HOA denied door-to-door enforcement, condemning the scam. Detective Sarah Klein took our case, revealing the intruders were part of a regional ring targeting disabled residents, extorting them with threats of fines or seizures. Our testimony and a neighbor's security footage showing the brunette's attack and Lucas's response were key. Sophie struggled, jumping at noises, checking locks obsessively. Her seizure spiked, and we adjusted her meds. Lucas became her shadow, walking her to the mailbox, his presence a quiet reassurance. I worried about him was quieter, his easy grin rare. One night, I found him in the backyard, staring at the stars. "I keep seeing her go down," he said, flexing his bandaged hand. "I didn't want to hurt her, but she was going to hurt you." "Hurt Sophie. You did what you had to," I said, touching his shoulder. "You protected us." He nodded, but the guilt lingered. Still, he threw himself into training, his kicks sharper, more driven. Sophie started sketching again, her drawings VY Brandt, a way to process the trauma. She joined an epilepsy support group, finding strength in shared stories. Slowly, her confidence returned. Weeks later, we testified at a hearing. Lucas recounted the attack calmly, while I described Sophie's needs and the threats. The EVY dense fake IDs, the notebook, the flashlight was damning. The defendants faced charges of assault, fraud, and impersonation. Sophie was spared testifying, her medical records enough. The trial loomed, but the case was strong. Life settled cautiously. The HOA reimbursed us for the broken table, and we bought a sturdier one. Neighbors formed a watch group, checking on each other. Sophie's garden flourished, a sign of her resilience. Lucas won his next fight, dedicating it to Sophie, who cheered, her pride radiant. The memory of that day, the scream, the fight, the sirens faded, but lingered, a scar of vulnerability and strength. One evening, on the porch, Sophie asked Lucas, "Do you regret hitting her?" He paused, eyes distant. "I regret it came to that," he said, "but I'd do it again to keep you safe." She smiled, leaning against me, the stars bright above. We'd faced bullies and won, not just with fists, but with unity, courage, and a bond no threat could break. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.